Welcome one and all to episode 116 of Talk Wrestling. Thank you all for watching each and every week here on NoDQ.com, as well as MySpace, Facebook, and Twitter. And of course YouTube. Can't forget YouTube. Last minute push, guys. We're just days away from the end of May. June 1st is fast approaching. We're close to 13,000. Can you see that? This close. Literally this close to 13,000. So keep pushing. Tell your friends. Tell your family. You know what? Tell your mom that even though you're not a wrestling fan, Mom, watch the show, subscribe to the show, make a YouTube account, and watch Talk Wrestling. At least subscribe to it, you know? Just saying. Throw it out there. Anyway, thank you all for watching last week when you put up with me for the brief news show. But today it's back to business, if you will. That's right. It's time for the mailbag. Let's get to it. I'm not sure who sent this question in. They sent me an email address, but it's kind of hard to make out. I think it's from a foreign country, so I apologize for this. But it basically says, what does the future hold for Bryan Danielson after being eliminated from NXT and basically assaulting Michael Cole? Well, he's high on my list right for that. I love it. I talked briefly about this last week in the news show. Bryan is starting to show the angry dragon, and I like it. Bryan was showing the angry side of Bryan Danielson. He's showing the fact that he, much like a lot of people that come from the indie circuit, have been held down by WWE. And he's not going to take it anymore. He went after Matt Striker. He criticized the pros. He criticized Michael Cole. And everything he said in that promo last week was right on the money. Vince does not like anything that's not his creation. And that's the truth. We've seen that so many times over the years. Vince had Ric Flair, arguably the greatest of all time, in his hand. And yes, he made him champion twice, but you know what? They didn't push him to his full potential. I know Flair was 40 years old at the time, but he still had a lot to contribute, okay? And there was just no reason why Flair couldn't have got a bigger push then. Bryan, in my opinion, this is my humble little opinion that probably doesn't mean much to you people that love to criticize the show each and every week, but Bryan is the best wrestler in the world to have not held a WWE or TNA World Championship. That's just the bottom line. The person sent the question is, will he ever be WWE champion? He should be. He should be the WWE or World Champion some point in his career. There's no disputing that. Had he gone to TNA, would he get a better push? Possibly. But there is no bigger stage to hone your craft on than the stage of World Wrestling Entertainment. There's no disputing that at all. And Bryan worked for WWE at one point on the developmental level after graduating from Shawn Michaels Academy. He was one of their big stars on the independent scene. Kind of keep saying that because he's been an indie star for so long. He even missaid that on the developmental level. Bryan is phenomenal. And I hate to take AJ's little catchphrase, but Bryan's phenomenal. He is the best. Truly. And I know I'm going to get a lot of criticism for being on his nuts now compared to Rob Van Dam's nuts or whoever's nuts I'm on this week. But I liked the promo he cut after the elimination. I love the promo he cut last week when he just went off on everybody. He slapped Cole straight in the mush. I loved it. Cole was sitting there backing up all afraid of him. I don't even know if that was legit or not, but it sure looked good on television. I'll tell you that right now. That was awesome. That was good stuff. So, will he be WWE Champion, World Champion? Yes. It's a matter of when. Will he be another champion? I think he should be the one to win the U.S. Championship should Bret Hart vacate it, which if he has already, then he has. I don't know. I don't watch the show very often, so I don't know what's going on. But I do know I watch NXT, damn it, and Bryan's the guy, and he should be the guy, period. This is from Nick. Jeff, my question to you is, do you think Chavo Guerrero should get more respect around WWE? Because when he was in WCW, he was a good, respected wrestler. Not too long ago, he was in a stupid feud with Hornswoggle of all wrestlers. I can't explain it. It was just a stupid feud. When you really think about it, Chavo's a good wrestler. I believe it's because there's no cruiserweight division anymore. Your thoughts? I mentioned this on the news show when I talked about Vicky and Chavo. Chavo has been relegated to jobber status, and I think that's a shame. Chavo's a great wrestler. Chavo is tremendous. He has that Guerrero fighting spirit, I guess you can call it that, for lack of a better term. JBL would have a better description of it than I would, because JBL always spoke highly of the Guerreros, even on commentary, even as a heel. Chavo should get more respect from the fans. Chavo should get more respect from WWE management and not be just some jobber. Vicky, on the other hand, whatever. There is a definite good theory there about the lack of cruiserweight division hurting Chavo. Because Chavo shined when there was a cruiserweight championship. Chavo was the guy in the cruiserweight division, besides like Gregory Helms and Jamie Noble and a few other people. Yeah, having a feud with Hornswoggle was sad, just horrible to watch. And you know, now that Horny's on SmackDown, maybe they'll. Oh no, Chavo's on SmackDown too now. That's right. Well, stranger things have happened. I hope they let Chavo do more and maybe push him toward an Intercontinental title run, because that'd be nice. But it's highly unlikely. This is from Augustine Roldan. Who would be the one wrestler to make TNA must-see TV if WWE released them for one reason or another, in your opinion? I think it would be CM Punk, because he made a name for himself before joining WWE. Also, I'd like your opinion on how TNA presents its product out on TV. I feel the wrestlers do not have good enough mentors on how to give off a good promo on TV. It seems they do not have enough time to make it perfect. Thanks for the show. Well, that's kind of two questions, but I'll go ahead and let you have them. The first question with Punk, if Punk were to go back to TNA, I think he can make a tremendous impact. He made an impact there before, but back then he was simply one of Raven's lackeys. He was one of the Gathering. I think if Punk were left to his own druthers and to do his thing on his own and have followers of his own on the TNA stage, he could do great things. Anybody else, you know, anybody that comes from WWE can make an impact in TNA and vice versa, quite frankly. It's just a matter of how they're marketed. So I'd have to see on a case-by-case basis who would go and who would stay and who would make that, quote, impact. TNA doing promos and presenting their product. I think they get enough product, you know, advertising. They get commercials during WWE broadcast. I see them all the time. And I see advertisement on Spike TV whenever I'm watching UFC or whenever I'm watching something else. I always see Impact commercials. So it's definitely not a lack of product endorsement and definitely not a lack of product presentation. And I think the guys cutting their promos, they have enough guys there that are great promo cutters that they should be fine. I mean, you know, Hogan, Flair, AJ's a good promo guy. You know, even as a heel, he's still good. Rob, you know, if they turn him loose, he could be a great promo guy. You know, Nash, Hall, even Hall and his slurred self, you know, he's a great promo guy. The Dudleys, Team 3D. You know, they have so many good promo guys that could teach these young guys how to cut a promo. But you're right, Augustine, it's just not happening for some reason. A lot of these guys seem like they're lost out there. And I don't understand that. But, you know, there is the potential for it to change. And I think that it will with time. This is from Jacob Bruner. Hey, Jeff, I've been watching TNA. I noticed some really stupid moves. I wanted to ask you what you thought and what you think are the worst moves ever or finishers. Anyway, mine is that dumb move where Desmond Wolfe has a guy in the corner and runs to the opposite end, steps off the second turnbuckle, comes back and hits the dude. And the other one is AJ's finisher, the one that looks like a reverse 69 and drops them on their stomach with him on top. Don't know what it's called. Anyway, your opinion. Well, AJ's move is called the Styles Clash. It's one of the more popular moves in wrestling. As a matter of fact, Michelle McCool even stole it. She uses it on SmackDown now as the co-women's champion. Ugh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Anyway. As far as Wolf's move, Nigel's move, I haven't seen that, but I could be wrong. I've seen many people do that, where they get a guy in the corner, run, hop off the second turnbuckle, and then go and like clothesline the guy in the corner, or do a knee drop in the corner, or however they do it. the stupidest move I've ever seen, and I don't care how popular he became, I don't care how great a superstar he was, his finishing move was the stupidest thing ever, and that's the people's elbow. It was literally an elbow with a leg twitch, or a leg drop with an elbow twitch, whatever you want to call it. It was the most god-awful thing I've ever seen in my entire life in wrestling. And I've been watching 20 years this year. At the end of October, I'll be 20 years watching this crazy stuff. And it's just, it boggles my mind that the people would get into the fact that he would tear the thing off, the elbow pad off, throw it in the crowd, go like this, run, 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 boom, leg twitch, elbow drop. I never understood it. I never got it. Hogan's leg drop, I never got that either. You know, it captivated the world, as we all saw in the 80s. But for all intents and purposes, it was a simple little leg drop that was delivered by the top guy in the business, so it became the atomic leg drop of doom, and it was over. I don't understand that either. You know, those are dumb. TNA-wise, now, you know what really gets me is kind of like, really? Is the 5-star frog splash. I love Rob, don't get me wrong. But every time he hits that, it seems like it hurts him. I don't know if he's going for credibility and the fact that, oh, it hurts him so bad or what. I don't know. But it just boggles my mind that every time he does that move, it hurts him. I don't understand that. It's just like, really? Okay, if you say so. This is from, oh jeez, it's an AOL email address. Give me a minute here. LK Pilchard, Pilchard, LK Pilchard, 23 at AOL.com. Do you think WWE has too many titles? I've talked about the championship situation so many times on this show. I will, you know, begrudge you guys again, or you know, indulge you guys, not begrudge, indulge you guys again. There's a world championship on both shows. There's a mid-card championship on both shows. There's a ladies championship on both shows, and there's a unified tag title for both shows. I don't see a problem with that at all. The ladies division has one title on each show, which is fine. Although they could actually combine those championships into the women's championship and still be okay. Let the ladies wrestle on both shows. You know, they could. Having a separate mid-card championship on each show works better. Excuse me. Works better. That way they have different people challenging for the championships on each show. And, of course, you have to have a separate world championship. You've got to have a top prize on each show for the guys to chase after. Unified tag title is definitely a step in the right direction for the last 2 years, year and a half, whatever it's been now. Definitely a good idea to have tag titles be defended on both shows. That way there's more tag teams to challenge on instead of just having one tag title per show and having a lame tag team division on each show. They have all the tag teams going against, you know, the unified gold. Definitely a good way to go. Is it too many titles? No. Not in my opinion. This is from Luke Charest? I don't know. Who do you think has the most credible wrestling school? Well, there's quite a few that are good. Out here, Mach 1 School is good. It's run by John Ian, and trainers are Joey Ryan and Johnny Goodsheim and a couple other people. They recently had Adam Pearce, NWA champion of the world, guest train and guest speak, and I heard that went very well. I missed it, unfortunately. I slept in. I watched the show Friday night live when Adam defended the NWA title against Goodtime, and then I didn't go to bed until 4 o'clock Saturday morning. So I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to be in Anaheim by 10 from Long Beach. Not going to happen. So, Mach 1's is good. Back East, Team 3D's, I hear, is very well done. Booker's, I hear nothing but good thing about Booker T's school in Houston. I don't even know they're still running. I have not heard much about them since he left TNA, but I don't know if they're still running or not. When it ran, Shawn Michaels, I heard, was very good. It produced Bryan Danielson and Brian Kendrick and Lance Cade. Dean Malenko's was good for its time when they ran briefly. But I think, of the ones I've seen, Mach 1 is good. UPW School is very good when it was still cooking. They are the Ultimate Academy is the Ultimate University is still. I hear things that they're going to be back, they're not going to be back, they're running, they're not running. So of the ones I've seen, I would have to go with Mach 1, run by Johnny and then trainers Joey Ryan and Johnny Goodtime. They have a great school. It's a simple little ring. It's not too stiff from what I have observed. And the guys are dedicated. The students, I've met most of the students, they seem very dedicated. They seem like they want to learn. And they seem like they're having a good time, which is rare for a wrestling school. Most of these guys pay through the nose and they get butchered pretty much by these so-called trainers. But John runs he runs a tight ship, but he runs a smooth ship. Is the best way I can put it. They still are, it's still a respectable school. So I fully endorse that school completely. This is from Adam Rutherford. Hey Jeff, I was wondering if I could get your thoughts on the Dynamite Kid and if you think he should be put in the WWE Hall of Fame. A lot of people have your opinions on him and his personality, but his wrestling in the 80s was amazing. He put on some of the best matches I've ever seen. Also, he was one of the best tag teams of all time, the British Bulldogs. And I think it would be a shame if he didn't get the recognition he deserves. You hear a lot of bad things about Dynamite in recent years. His book came out, it was very negative. Brett spoke out quite heavily against him in his book. And you hear a lot of stories about how big a bully Dynamite was in his heyday. And how, karma's a bitch to a certain extent. He's been crippled beyond repair at this point of his life. Is that fair? Of course not. Nobody deserves to be crippled like Dynamite has been crippled. Nobody deserves to be like that at all. That's a horrible tragedy for anybody, let alone a wrestler who, was arguably the best pure wrestler of his time. Does he deserve Hall of Fame recognition? I don't know. I'd like to say yes, but there's part of me that goes, he was in WWE for 2 or 3 years before he got hurt. And then he was there for a couple more years working injured and not producing the way he could have. And since then he spoke out and been a bitter legend, so to speak. So I don't know. I'd like to see him be in the Hall of Fame. I'd like to see Davey in the Hall of Fame. I'd like to see all those Stampede boys that you haven't got it yet. Owen and, Davey and Neidhart and Tom Billington, Dynamite Kid. But for Dynamite to be inducted, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of effort for that to happen on both sides of the fence, if you get what I'm saying. Ryan says, what do you think Shane Douglas's legacy will be? On the one hand, he was extremely influential in the early days of ECW, but then there were his troubles in the WWF and his backstage run-ins with the Clique that more or less squashed his career. How do you think Shane Douglas should be remembered by wrestling fans? Shane Douglas, for all intents and purposes, will always be remembered as the guy that threw down the NWA Championship in 1994. It was unheard of for anybody to win a recognized World Heavyweight Championship and say, I'd rather have this one. I'd rather have this one over here. I'd rather be the ECW champion than the NWA World Champion. Yeah, remember, back then, the NWA's credibility was faulty at best. They had just been pretty much abandoned by WCW in favor of their own championships. ECW was their last bastion of hope for the better part of 8 years. Because between 94 and 02, there were a few world champions, but the NWA title was relegated to indie status, if you want to call it that. And that's going to piss off somebody that I know, and I'm sorry about that, sir. But It was. It was relegated to an independent championship that was, you know, governed by, you know, a clusterfuck of people. Excuse my language for those of you that are watching. I got a letter about my language, and I apologize for that F word. But, you know, it's what it was. It was a clusterfuck. So, it wasn't until TNA got the deal with the NWA that the NWA title regained some credibility, and even then it took, you know, a long time for it to happen again. The NWA title now is much more pronounced, I guess, than it was back when Douglas threw it down. Anyway, Douglas. Douglas will always be remembered as a big fish in a small pond. He was the top guy in ECW for a number of years. He was top guy in XPW for a couple years. Never got past the mid-card in the WWF. He was Intercontinental Champion for, I don't know, how long was the match between Dean Douglas and Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental Championship in your house? Could have been more than 20 minutes. I don't remember. I still haven't seen that match to this day. But Intercontinental Champion for a cup of coffee, and in WCW, he was part of the Dynamic Dudes, I remember. And then when he came back after beating ECW and the WWF, he was the franchise, led the revolution, but was still held back to a certain extent by crappy management at WCW, like always. Shane should be remembered as a great wrestler, one of the best talkers ever. That just never caught a break in the big time. Another email with no name. Sorry about this, but Taker980@AOL.com. I noticed the Ultimate Warrior and WWE have not been on very good terms, but do you think since all the great accomplishments the Warrior has achieved in WWE, they will let him in the Hall of Fame? Or better yet, do you think the Warrior would accept after the basic slander he got from the WWE DVD release about him and the lawsuits that he filed in the past? Well, compared to some of the other guys they've ostracized, I mean, if you look at the WWE opening video for every show, Warrior's in it. The Warrior's in it. Macho Man's not. Bruno Sammartino's not. That tells me a lot. I think Vince and WWE would be willing to accept Warrior back into the fold if Warrior was willing. Warrior's not willing. Warrior wants nothing to do with Vince McMahon or WWE. And that's just the honest God's truth. He doesn't want to do anything with them. He probably wouldn't appear in their Hall of Fame. The closest he would have gotten was this last year in Phoenix. This year. When WrestleMania was in Phoenix. And Hall of Fame was there too. Could have happened then. As far as I know, Warrior still lives in Phoenix. So this would have been the year if it would have happened. So will it happen again? Will it happen ever? That's, you know, that's kind of like Dynamite Kid. That's really hard to say if both sides would mend the fence enough for them to have a equal, you know, equal footing, I guess, in allowing that to happen. This one is from Billy. Billy says, I'm sure I'm not the only one to realize this, but why isn't there a Chris Jericho DVD? Do you think they should make him one, or should WWE continue to wait, considering the fact that Jericho is at the top of his game right now, and more memorable and DVD-worthy moments are prone to keep occurring? How do you feel about this? Jericho had a home video release not too long after he joined the WWF. I think I'm going to say a year, maybe two, that covered his brief WWF career. Now that WWE owns the WCW and ECW libraries and can get footage from Jericho from Mexico and things like that, I think now is a great time. You know, Jericho is currently not a champion, so for them to showcase everything he's done, including the recent tag title reigns with Big Show and the World Championship reigns, the Undisputed title reign back in 01 and 02, I think now's a great time to do a Jericho DVD. I don't think he's going to do anything super heavy at this point. He's still going to be a top draw for WWE, but that's a great time to release a DVD when you got a top draw. Morrison got his own DVD, for Christ's sakes. What the fudge has John Morrison done to earn a WWE release DVD? Seriously. He was ECW champion for a little bit. He's been multi-time Intercontinental and Tag Team champion, but, you know, he's still a baby in this business compared to guys like Jericho and Orton and the other guys that haven't got a DVD yet. I mean, come on. Jericho deserves it, no doubt about it. That'll do it for Talk Wrestling this week. Thank you all for watching. Again, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your mom to subscribe if she doesn't watch every week. I still want the subscription. Talk Wrestling is this close. I'll say it again. Look how close that is. This close to 13,000. So keep plugging away. And we'll see you next time for Talk Wrestling.